Hi guys, my name is Biana. I am just your average 22-year-old girl. I like to go out, I like to stay in, I like to read. I'm a college senior, and that means I get really very little sleep. I'm always worried that screws with my sleep cycle. So what I do is I sit at night and I write. I have lots of philosophical musings that have been plaguing my mind recently. Been thinking how many others feel the way I do, and I figured why not go viral and see if there's like-minded individuals out there, or maybe someone who could help me make sense of all of this world in which we live in, this life which we were both blessed and cursed with. It's a wonderful, wonderful but confusing adventure. So I'm gonna read you guys something that I wrote not too long ago, a couple of months, and please feel free to give me some feedback. Hopefully I don't bore you guys. Keep in mind this is a small section of a larger essay, and the point of it was to answer the question, who am I? We are naturally driven to compete and try to excel. With that in mind, how depressing is it to think that our hard labor will one day be meaningless? Especially when you take into account Sartre's theory of human despair stemming from the fact that only the individual is in charge of their destiny, and no one can bear influence on their final outcome. So not only will each individual eventually find out that all their hard work in this life is meaningless, but when that happens, they will have only themselves to blame. Human advancement in many ways is like building a house of cards. Each generation builds up on top of the foundation laid before it. Each layer is more complex than the next. We build this metaphorical house because humans, like all animals, have one need greater than preserving the self, and that is ensuring that their offspring are equipped with the best tools for survival. But in reality, there will eventually be no future generation to speak of. The house will eventually topple, and something else will come along and start building again with what remains. We have seen the small-scale examples of the house of cards coming down in the form of natural disasters. We have watched whole cities that took hundreds of years of human labor to create, destroyed in mere minutes by the force of nature. Most scientists believe that one day such a catastrophe will wipe out not just one city, but eventually everything mankind has created. The movie What the Bleep Do We Know asks the questions, where did we come from, and where are we going? We came from nothingness, and are going to return to the same nothingness. Humans are animals trying to find the most comfortable means of survival until that impending nothingness becomes reality. So if there is no higher meaning to our existence, everything we create is doomed to be destroyed. What does that mean for me, the individual? Lots of people would conclude that this is a reason to give up. There is literally no point. But do all actions necessarily have to have a point? Not really, if you think about it. Well, we all have different goals, both long-term and short-term. The ultimate point is always the same: to achieve some sort of personal gratification. In biological terms, the only thing we ever seek out is different ways of getting our brain to release the feel-good chemicals such as serotonin, dopamine, and norepinephrine. These are the same chemicals that are released by the use of all addictive substances, getting the user high. All humans are essentially junkies. It's just the way that we choose to get high that varies. One person will desperately seek to trigger the release of dopamine by studying hard and receiving good grades, while another person will trigger that same effect by smoking methamphetamine. It goes without saying that not every action taken by an individual causes immediate pleasure. In fact, we often find ourselves sacrificing immediate pleasure in order to accomplish a specific end goal. The sacrifices we make are more like investments. Humans naturally analyze everything in a cost-benefit terms and make their decisions accordingly. I love strawberries. Eating them brings me happiness, but I wouldn't cut off my own finger in exchange for a box of strawberries, because the pain from the wound would be sufficiently larger than the pleasure I would experience in eating those strawberries. In other words, the cost in this scenario would greatly outweigh the benefit, making it an illogical action for me. On the other hand, I hate waking up early in the morning, subjecting myself to an hour-and-a-half commute, and sitting at a desk for 6 hours every day doing tedious work when I could be enjoying myself elsewhere. My job, as with all jobs, causes me a lot of stress and discomfort. Yet I stay there because the bi-weekly check I receive justifies the discomfort. The money I receive from working lets me do things that bring me a significant amount more pleasure than any other activity I could have done had I chose not to go to work. Staying home in bed all day is undoubtedly more pleasurable than sitting at a desk and being told what to do, but sitting at the desk allows me to do things like travel and partake in activities I would otherwise not have the opportunity to do. The benefits that come with working greatly outweigh the inconveniences I incur in the process. All the things we choose can be summed up in one simple equation. We have a set baseline for pleasure. Let's call it X. In my previous example, the baseline would be the pleasure experience from staying home all day. Then we have a negative value, Y, which serves as the amount of discomfort faced for the end goal. Finally, we have the amount of pleasure the end goal brings us. Let's call it Z. Sorry, I hate math. I know you guys do too, probably. Unless you love it, in which case, props. Every choice we make must fit the equation. Z minus Y is greater than X. The driving force in all our actions is some sort of self-benefit, whether it is immediate or a perceived future benefit. Every individual, including myself, is inherently selfish. There are no exceptions to this rule. But what about charity? I know many of you will ask. Charity is the epitome of a selfless good deed meant to bring no benefit to the benefactor, right? Wrong. Even the greatest acts of altruism and philanthropy fit this equation. Charitable acts promote the release of the aforementioned chemicals in several different ways. In fact, when a person does something like donate money, they get an initial rush of happiness from their good deed. In addition to that, they also experience positive reinforcement from others who know of their good deed, which triggers another feel-good chemical reaction. Lastly, charity shapes the way others perceive the benefactor beyond the initial reinforcement. This improved image helps the benefactor advance in society and gain benefits that are more valuable than whatever it is they initially donated, time, money, etc. Modern-day celebrities recognize this and use charity as a very effective marketing tool. Popular actors will often donate money to large organizations and make sure that their act is publicized. The publicity raises awareness about the actor, as well as make them appear likable in the eyes of the public. That leads to more people going to see their movies, causing the actors to make more money, which almost always exceeds their initial donation. To summarize what I learned about people and myself in the process, so far, we are just a type of animal, not superior nor inferior to any other being. We came from nothingness and will return to the same. All our actions have one ultimate purpose: gratification. These conclusions may seem somewhat depressing, but if properly embraced, they can result in a happy and successful life. We spend most of our lives contemplating a greater meaning in all aspects of our existence, while at the same time being ashamed of and suppressing our natural instincts and desires. If we accept our true nature, we can save ourselves the stress we incur as a result of the self-inflicted shame and guilt. The best analogy to answer my question is that humans are like clay. We have some basic consistencies throughout our lives, but we are also highly malleable. Everything that comes in contact with us leaves an impression on us and becomes part of us from that moment on. If we take Sartre's assertion that individuals are solely responsible for themselves, then we are our own artists. We can spend precious amounts of time sculpting ourselves into a desired form, tear ourselves apart, and start the process all over again. If we have no higher purpose, that means that we are responsible solely for ourselves. Our only obligation in life is survival. Our existence is not nearly as complicated as we think. Once we fill our basic criteria for survival, the rest of our lives is simply identifying the things that bring us pleasure and then developing and executing means to achieve that feeling. I am a small and ultimately insignificant, yet autonomous part of an infinite whole. My address changes, my friends change, my interests change, but I remain me. To strive to make the world around I strive to make the world around me a better place so that it can bring me more joy. I try to help my friends become better people so that I can be a better person myself. The older I get, the more I begin to realize that I have the ability to change any imperfection I may have. Growing up, I was extremely shy and quiet. I still am in many ways. I couldn't figure out why I had no friends until I reached ninth grade and realized that unless I became more vocal, I would always remain friendless. Why would someone want to be friends with me if they think I have nothing to say? I started a conscious effort to be more vocal, and though it was hard at first, it became easier to the point that shy is the last word that anyone who knows me would use to describe me. I am far from a perfect person, but I consider myself to be a good person. My mother used to scold me because once I did start making friends, I found myself mostly drawn to troubled people. I liked to befriend these people and enjoyed listening to their stories and trying to help them with their problems. Doing so gave me a sense of accomplishment, and still does to this day, even though I started being more wary of the people I let into my life, as I've learned the hard way that not everyone is deserving of my help, and attempting to help them only brought unneeded stress to me. I try to live my life with no regrets, taking each poorly calculated step as an opportunity to build a more pleasurable future for myself. So, that's it. Feel free to add any input. If you think it's stupid, let me know. If you have anything to add, let me know. And no, you're not alone in this world. Everyone else is on this journey, looking to find some sense in all of this. I love you guys. Bye.